Hey guys, welcome to the first broker question and answer session. Tiffany Zakel, for those of you who don't know me. I'm excited about this. I won't be doing these every single week, but I think it's a fun one to kick off with. And the topic is the way decisions are made at the brokerage level when a dispute arises with a contract. So one of the first things that I do is look directly at the contract. And you might think, well, of course, that's one of the first things that you do is look directly at the contract because the contract is at the center of everything. And I'm not just looking for, is there something in the contract pertaining to this? I'm looking for specificity. Are the items described? Are there timelines described? Are there consequences described? As well as any potential damages that could take place if it's not executed correctly. So at the very beginning, when you come to me with an issue, I'm looking at what is in writing that everybody has already agreed to. That's very first. Next is, what are the perceptions of people involved in the conversation? So I am not looking at this point to identify who to blame for the issue. In fact, I'm not even thinking about blame for the issue. I am moving forward towards the goal of a closing here. So I'm looking for what are the perceptions of everybody that's involved in the conversations and negotiations, because if you don't understand where everybody's at in this, you can't move forward to a solution and figure out what obstacles you need to overcome. So perceptions are important in their interpretations of what those items are. For example, a sound system could mean 1,000 different things depending on what sound system it's there, what the components of a sound system are, if the internal wiring and the speakering is sound system, or the mechanicals of plugging into that sound system. I mean, there are so many different interpretations to go on. So that's important. And then the next thing is identifying the parties' goals. So speaking to each side and figuring out what their goals are. It would be incredibly helpful for you if you come to your broker with your client's goals in mind and the solutions that they're looking for, because that helps us move through this process faster. So we're looking at goals, and then the next step is to begin negotiations. What are everybody's goals? And let's point towards that, and then we have to begin negotiations again on what those specific items are. It's very likely that both sides will have to give a little, especially if the contract has already closed and something has changed conditions since closing when it was removed and it was an item they thought we were going to stay there. That's a very common issue that we come up against. And so we have to figure out how we're going to resolve this. And sometimes people don't love those negotiations, especially after the fact. It's not fun for anybody. It's definitely not fun for me, but this is the way we got to go through. So if an agreement cannot be reached there, we need to talk about next steps, which are legal, right? They're legal next steps. So how much is the brokerage involved with the legal process of the client? Was there good faith on all sides to reach a conclusion before we came to this? And then this is where we start pinpointing blame, because this is where we need to decide if it's going to go to legal interpretation and interpleading. Then we need to say, was our client full and in good faith of moving towards this with effort? Because those lack of good faith activities also can be legal liabilities. We just have to discuss that. And then what was the cause, fault, or failure in the contract that began this? Was it our client? Was it the interpretation of it? Was it that something legitimately was not executed or deceived or discovered along the process? We need to figure that out. And then I will advise the clients, and you will also advise the clients of this point, what the next steps are, what the expected next steps are, because very often at this point, we hand over the negotiations and involvement in it to an attorney. That's it. Now, all along, an attorney should and could be present, but that doesn't always happen until this step when it becomes necessary to do so. So if you guys have questions about that, let me know. I am more than happy to help. Otherwise, you enjoy the rest of your day.